Hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, and share. On this episode of On the Road with Angie T, I went all the way to the Four Ways Martial Arts Academy to have a chat with the iconic, the legendary Sensei Stef Biagioni. Let's get right into it. On the Road with Angie T. Are you ready?
As ready as you can be.
All right, so who is Sensei Stef Biagioni?
Okay, Sensei Stef Biagioni is me. I've been doing karate for over 40 years. I started at an age of approximately 10 years of age. That was in 1980. And I fell in love with it. Basically, in my neighborhood, there was a shopping center. And I remember walking to the shopping center and I heard noises, the word kia, shouting, but organized shouting. It was quite interesting. So I just popped my head into that shop front, which happened to be a dojo. And I remember there was a man there, and to this day, he's still teaching karate, immigrated to Portugal, very high up in the karate world. His name is Sensei Jose Campos. And then it was just, wow, the atmosphere was electrifying. The people were sweating, the kids were enjoying the lesson. And I just was in awe with it. And I just sat there and I watched this karate lesson. And I knew straight away from that day onwards, this is exactly what I want to do. However, I had a bit of a stumbling block because at that stage, at the age of 10, I was bullied. I was shy. I was overweight. Wasn't considered for any sporting codes because I had a disease called rheumatic fever. And remember, in those days, rheumatic fever was quite serious. I got very sick at a young age. My heart got affected with the virus. And I was on medication ever since. So the doctor said to me there and then that I can't do any sport that had extra exertion on the heart. So, of course, karate was one of those sports that I couldn't do. So, long story cut short, I still fell in love with it. I watched it for a good year, I think, quite regularly, but never participated, just being part of the crowd there watching the event.
Observing.
And then some of my friends did the same karate there, and they were like pushing me to do this karate. And I said, no. And the doctors refused me at least 2 or 3 occasions. Anyway, came a year afterwards, against all doctors' wishes. I said, bugger this, I'm going to do karate. And I've never looked back. So basically what karate has done for me personally, I never started it to be a world champion, never started to get any medals because those years we never had any international exposure during our apartheid years. So it was really just for myself and to better myself. But it transformed me. I mean, it gave me confidence. I lost weight. I trained quite often. Was very competitive as well because my friends were doing very well. So I wanted to do as well as they were doing. We did compete now and then and again. And and ever since then, I've never looked back. And then, of course, worked my way up. I got my black belt in 1987, long time ago. That was quite an achievement for me. I got it under Jose Campos. And then, unfortunately, he left the country to follow his career. And we left the suburb and we moved to another suburb. And then I then joined up with Sensei Arnold de Beer, who is to this day my instructor. So I've been with Sensei Arnold for now since 1987. Thereabout, and he's been my mentor ever since. Having said all that, I've worked my way right up to a 7th Dan position. After 40 years, was awarded 7th Dan through Ismaa, our organization, as well as Karate South Africa has recognized my achievement and my position in karate and the year's service that I've given. And therefore, my current title is Shihan Stef Biagioni. So in simple terms, that is the person I am. I've made a career out of karate. I started to become professional in 1999, 2000. Took the leap of faith, saying this is my passion. Can I turn my passion into a business, into an income? Knowing very well that I didn't want to lose that passion. You know, when you turn something into money, trying to make a business, you got to come to terms with yourself that don't forget the essence why you're doing karate. You're doing it because it's the love. Rich in love as opposed to rich in money. So it's a fine balance between the two, but I've never looked back. Since I've been an instructor and a full-time, I've built a lovely dojo in 2005, 2006. This premises that you see right around you is what I built through the karate. maybe one of the best facilities in the country, or in Gauteng, to say the least.
It is.
And I'm very proud of what I've achieved through karate, building this facility, and then again giving back to the community, which is teaching kids at a young age of about 5 years, sometimes 3 years, and basically on the therapeutic benefits of karate, like ADD, ADHD, muscle toning, confidence, bullying, which is a big thing, bilateral integration, which means your right mixing with the left. And all these kind of benefits helps a young child's development. And then, of course, social skills, the etiquette of karate, the philosophical side of karate, discipline, structure, It's not about only self-defense, which comes later on. Obviously, as a young adult, self-defense is a big part of karate. Women, children, highest victim of the current stage of South Africa. So I'm hoping through my experience to teach this kind of thing to my audience, being my students. But that's who I am in a nutshell. And then don't forget, I've taken a liking into sports side of karate as well, which is a different entity. You've got the sport and you've got the traditional. Traditional karate is the self-defense, the syllabus. Goju-Ryu is what I practice, and getting your black belt. Getting your black belt is the start of a career, and that hopefully one day will help you to defend yourself. However, the sports side of it is the Olympic dream and the World Championship dream, games dreams, and the list goes on. So I'm also very, very, very much passionate about the sport of karate, because sports does bring a different dynamic to your karate. It puts your dojo there in the forefront of all other dojos if you do well. In the past, I'm known as one of the best dojos in producing pro-tier colors. You've been one of them, okay? Very proud. And, my first pro-tier that I produced was in 2002. And since then, up until this current date, I can boast at least 35 pro-tier members since 2002 to this current date of 2024. But it comes with a lot of sweat and tears and disappointment and hard training. So I've enjoyed that part of the business. I've done well personally myself. I've won the Commonwealth. I've won medals at WKF leagues before. The Zone 6 I've won. And the World Goju I've won as well. As well as my biggest highlight, and to this day my highlight, is the Africa Cup. I was the first athlete since our readmission to international in 1997. Never thought that I would ever get that opportunity, because I thought I was too old for karate, especially Kata, which I've pursued. And I won the Africa Cup against all odds. So that just set my sporting career light. Since then, I've never looked back. And now I've got my kids involved as well. Okay, but that's another chapter on its own. All right.
Yes,
but that is me in a nutshell.
But I want to know, who's Sensei Stef outside of karate? Because today you've just blown my mind away, because I do know some of your history, but like getting into details today, right now, has blown my mind away. But who is Sensei outside of karate? Or is there even Stef Biagioni outside of karate?
Listen, I'm so passionate about karate that it's so much part of my life. But yes, I must be honest. I need to look outside karate. And outside karate is my family. My wife, Angelique, she's the one that brings me down to earth. Okay, she's got no belts. She's not a student karate. In fact, she's the only one in our family that doesn't do karate. My older boy, Sylvia, does karate. Alessandro does karate, and I do. So outside karate, it's very difficult sometimes for me to switch off. However, family is very important. Angelique has been an absolute star. She puts me down to earth. When we do socials, she reminds me very much that we're here not to talk shop. So I have to switch off and get that balance. It's very difficult, because that's all I understand is karate. However, I do love caravanning. I do love the outdoor. I do love traveling, going to see in different countries. Different parts of South Africa, which is unexplored at times, and that is something I enjoy outside. I enjoy the community of Four Ways, to be quite honest. I enjoy my movies, my series, So besides just training every day, teaching every day, and taking a political role in karate every day, I do try and give some time back to myself and my family. My mother, who's alive at the age of 80 right now, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my mother-in-law. The family outside karate is very important to me.
100%.
And then I must also be honest, and all credit to me being healthy and having the right to teach what I love. I can give all credit to God at the end of the day, because this wouldn't happen if that wasn't in place as well. So, that would be a little bit outside karate, but I'm bad. I don't have any other hobbies. So I'm not a golfer. I'm not a chess player. My only hobby is unfortunately karate. It's my life. But I do agree. Sometimes it does take over. That would be the downside, because we need time out in every sense of the word.
It complements just how everything that you do is detailed. And
yes.
It comes out perfect, almost perfect, because it shows that you've got so much dedication behind it. There's so much passion, there's so much love towards it, and you think it through before you actually action it out. So your love for the sport is actually very evident in the results that you continuously produce. So
look, it's not always easy. I've had challenging times physically myself. In my young career, as I said to you, I wasn't supposed to do any physical sport. At the same time, COVID was a big impact to karate and to myself. I mean, I'm a hands-on person. I love teaching crowds, but try and teach in front of a camera, because you can't get your voice out there. You can't feel the ambience and the spirit of other people in front of you. Was a huge challenge. And then building my dojo since 2000 all the way up to 2020 before COVID hit was fantastic. I thought, wow, what a fantastic business I've built up. You know what I'm saying? And then COVID just brought you right down to zero. You saw your students quit karate because they couldn't do the online sessions, and it was like a domino effect, and we were the last people to get back into opening up a physical practice, because it was so dangerous at that time. So for 6 months solid, I had to teach in front of a camera, and that actually helped me a little bit to become techo savvy, to understand how to work and teach. It actually built up my skills in teaching. To try and teach in front of a square box and to teach in front of a live audience is two different skills. And I felt that helped me to bring the best out of me. So COVID helped in the sense, and touch wood. And like I said, I can thank God that I had a lot of dedicated students that didn't drop. They continued and persevered during that challenging time. So that was a big challenge for me. And then starting off as a dojo, it wasn't easy. I had to go into my karate uniform in the front of Witkoppen and William Nickel. Those days, we didn't have social medias like that. Take pamphlets and hand out pamphlets in front of all that hot, sunny day, the exhaust fumes of the cars, the loudness, and the ridicule. People would tease you a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because they saw you in a karate suit. And that's what I had to do to try and get this four-ways dojo up and running. So that, I think, was my most challenging. And then, of course, COVID. And then, to this day, I'm proud, because we've built up about 6 individual dojos. There's up-and-coming instructors like your own cousin, Brandon Sita, I must mention, is doing a fantastic job. He's opened up a dojo in Midrand, and that's been fantastic for me. That is my satisfaction. I had him since the age of 6, yourself included, and he's taken karate. He's loving it. That he's actually wants to.
So well.
He's doing well. He wants to do it as a business, and I've encouraged him with all that. So he's built his whole business model around my dojo. And then I've got the other 2 youngsters, Reese and Justin Baines, and there's Danica Stevens. I don't know if you remember. She's also opened up a dojo, all under my auspices and my wing. So that is my satisfaction. To they see the enthusiasm, the passion through me, and they feel that they want to do it themselves. Look, Sensei Arnold told me that doing karate as a business is not a good thing. Rather get educated, work in the working field. But I thought it through in those days already. If I'm going to travel the world, I need to make sure that karate is my full-time business, because you can't expect your employees to give you leave all the time. It's 100%. Quite difficult. So I made a choice there. Come high water, I'm going to pursue the career as a karate practitioner. And to this day, I've never regretted that decision. And I've been a full-time for now over almost 24 years, plus minus. So other than that, we're still growing. I haven't quite reached all my goal. I've just taken on the title as the president of Gauteng Karate Federation, and that's been a huge mammoth task. And it's a big responsibility that even now I'm learning as we go along. So every time you learn, there's a couple of setbacks, but that's what makes you stronger.
100%. Now, what I do want to talk about, Sensei, is going back to your health. You mentioned, and I'm taking us a bit back, but you mentioned that when you started, you had a, you were very sick. How has it transcended now? Like, how is it now? You still, diagnosed with that illness, or have you gotten better?
Funnily enough, and I really believe this is because of karate, I've actually become much better. My heart is much healthier. I've been through a couple of tests through the medical scenario where they've checked me out, they've checked my heart and everything. So that rheumatic fever that I did have, I don't have anymore. So there's no heart murmur, there's no weakness of valves and everything. So my heart is in a very good shape. However, as you get older, I had to get glasses for the first time. That's age. And then, of course, you got to watch your diet because cholesterol is always a big issue. But other than that, touch wood, I'm okay. Physically, my joints are all okay. My hips is okay because as a karate practitioner, your hips is usually the things that goes because of all this vigorous training that you do over the years. My biggest injury I've had physically was I think it was 2014. I was in the finals of the Vienna Open and I was doing a performance, which is a kata performance called Anan, and I went to one move and I tore my tendons. And that was just before myself being selected to a world championship, and I pretty much competed at that world championship with only one tendons, the other one that was damaged. Then, of course, after the world championship, came back and had to have that operation, which set me back for about 6 months. Yeah, so that was the biggest injuries I had. But other than that, I'm 100% fit. I am getting old, a little bit of gray hair, but people are still quite amazed that I'm still competing at a senior level, but this time around with my 2 children, which is a first.
I wanted to get into that. How did that come about? Because when I saw the article, I had to stop everything that I was like, wait a minute. How did that come about?
I would like to say, and I'm very proud to say, that not many fathers will ever have an opportunity to compete with their 2 children in the same team. So what we're doing is what we call a team kata. And the idea came during COVID when we were doing this e-tournament. So we would perform our kata in front of a camera. We would send our video footage to all the referees internationally to judge us and to see if we can beat other karatekas from all parts of the world. So I said to Alessandro and Silvio, which are my 2 boys, at that stage, Alessandro was just hitting seniors. He was 16. And I said, let's start something now. We've got all the time in the world because we're stuck at home due to COVID. So we put a team together. And funny enough, during the e-tournament era, during COVID, we were the number 1 team. So I said, if we can be a number 1 team on a virtual platform, let's try and test ourselves at a national physical tournament, which was, I think we were up and running again in 2021. And we won the nationals for the first time in the team event. We were still competing with face mask. So that was fantastic. And over the years, we kept it up. But currently, this year, we can actually honestly say, for the first time in the history of karate South Africa, that you have a father and 2 boys in a national team, ranked number 1, and possibly represent the country as a Protea member, which has never been done. Not even in the history of the World Karate Federation. So this is a first. I'm just grateful to God that I am literally fit enough to still compete with my children and be number 1. So that's something that I'm very proud of, and I don't think it's going to happen just overnight for a very long time. So we have a major event coming up, which is the Zone 6, which we call the Region South, which you yourself know. You got your Protea through that platform in Zimbabwe, if I'm not mistaken. Well, now it's in Namibia. So Alessandro, myself, and Silvio are going to compete there as the number 1 team kata, officially as a Protea team. So I'm very proud of that. Hopefully all goes well, because unfortunately we had the same opportunities 3 years ago, but just before we were flying out to the Africa Cup, Silvio, myself, and Alessandro, we were flagged as a country not to participate due to COVID. So 24 hours, they gave the news that we couldn't go to the Africa Cup because of COVID. So that was the last time we had the same opportunity. So hopefully this time round, everything works well.
No, I'm sure that it's going to go well. So all the best to
so
you and
thank
your sons, and I know you are going to do exceptionally well and bring it home.
Hopefully.
Now tell me, Sensei, what keeps you going? Like, what is this one thing that keeps you going? Because I don't think I've ever met someone that pushes the way you push.
I think it stems from when I was a young child at school, and teased a lot because I was very overweight. I was bullied, and they thought because of this big child, he couldn't do any sport. And even soccer teams, I couldn't get selected because they looked at me physically and said, no, he's not athletical enough to be a soccer player, a tennis player, or even a cricket player, which I also enjoyed, let alone rugby, which rugby I didn't enjoy then because it was a bit too rough for me at that stage. So athletics, when we used to do the long distance, they wouldn't select me because of my physical conditions. Okay, so I've always had this drive to prove the world otherwise. And karate is no different, because in karate, when I did start, I was always beaten and lost in competition. Because of my weight, I used to fight older guys. So I've always lost in my life. I lost more than I've won. And the reason for me to be so driven is because the more I lose, the more I want to prove otherwise. And people wrote me off a long time ago, even in 97 when I won the Africa Cup. They said to me I was too old for them. So I took a love into Kata, because Kata, I knew in my mind that you can go much later in your age. Even when I reached to early 30s, they wrote me off and said, no, he's too old to compete. So I want to feel that I'm ready to step down when I feel ready, not when people tell me that it's time to give up. And that is my attitude with anything in life. Running a business is never easy. Sometimes you're going to fall down just as hard, but sometimes you're going to build up just as quick. And when you do build up to a situation that you feel happy that you're on the right path, you can never be complacent, because that is your worst enemy. But you're on the right path. Then you say, okay, I've either made it or I haven't. Now that you have made it, you look at other opportunities. And it's just, I have this drive to always better myself as a person, to be humble, which I get now and again, I get corrected by my by my wife, because sometimes you got to look back and you say you've done well because of people that have supported you around you. 100%. People that support around you and believe in you, push you. You can't take this on your own. So a lot of the times my family drives me, my instructor drives me, my colleagues drive me, because it's a cruel world out there. When you fail, you will know when you fail, and they will let you know that you will fail. True. So, and also the enjoyment. Don't forget, I love what I do. I can wake up every morning, get up, sit, start my plan for the day, albeit on a computer, administration, then come onto the floor and train, or even go to the gym. I do a lot of work outside the karate because I need to stay fit physically, so I go to the gym. And I've also asked for help. I've had by Connectus, a special guy that was working with me for 6 or 8 years. He's given me a lot of inside information that applies to karate. That drove me. My kids drive me. Silvio is number one in karate from a sport point of view. He's taken a liking to Kabuto, not only karate. He pushes me because he wants to push the envelope, and then I need to stay on top and lead by example. And then my younger one is just as good in the sports side and in the traditional side. And he pushes me because they looking at me as a leader and as an example, and don't forget also as a father, So it's a whole collective of things. I feel that I cannot disappoint my family, my karate student, and the community. So I try as much as possible, set the example, try and be humble, if I get out of line a little bit, then I've got my wife to back me up and say, get into line, because sometimes you need someone to say, listen, this is not right, So there's a lot of factors that pushes me, but I think the biggest thing is to enjoy what you do. Definitely. And I really do enjoy this, and I can honestly say after 40 years of doing karate, I've never regretted a single day what I'm doing right now. And I'm happy to have chosen this pathway, and I'm happy to have made this as a business. Even as an athlete, I'm happy to have chosen this pathway. So, and I get to see people all over the world. I've made friends in karate all over the world. So it's the best life.
Yeah.
So far.
And tell me, when it comes to your sons, because I know with a lot of people, they'll tell you when it comes to family, you can't mix karate with family or any other thing, How do you get your sons to be as dedicated as they are? Like, is it just them? Like, do they just sit down and say, "We want to do this with our dad," or how do you get that?
Angela, I think it's a balance of both. And Angelique has been very good here. She's always said to me from the word go, don't allow them to follow your footstep. Their passion is not always your passion.
Yes.
So I've had to always have that in the back of my mind. And I think what I've done right so far, because they are both doing karate till this day, and they've never stopped. They both started at a young age of 4.5 years of age, and they're still doing it. But I've also tried to not burn the candle too soon. So I've managed the career up until now. So when they were just starting out in karate, I got them to do it once a week. Then I got them to come on training camps. And I've tried to see the enjoyment out of karate. But they've also, over the years, seen what karate has done for them. They both passed matric. They both managed to handle the pressure at varsity level currently. And also, there was a bit of a balance. And let's be honest, they've got all the facility in front of them, So although it's my passion and my dreams, it's not always their dream. So what I think I've done right with it, and I say I think because it's never bulletproof, that I've allowed them to give them a bit of space in the sense that they follow their own career in education. So they've done the matric, and Sylvia's now almost a fully fledged chiropractic, which has studied for 9 years. And Alessandro's now entered university for sports science. But they're all around the sports side of it. So there's a parallel between karate and what the two boys are doing in their career. So because they're pursuing their education in a sports side effect, it's also helping them in the karate. So it's a balance of both. And, they do know that if ever they have a dark period in their life, they go back to karate. And also, I think just lead by example. They see the love through my eyes, and maybe they also feel, okay, there's something there, let's discover it. But if they feel that they're not up to it, I try the best I can not to force them. And that is the trick. Sometimes you do have a habit of forcing, push, 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 and they burn it. They burn out. So I've managed the career. Now Sylvia's at the stage where he will be qualified from a varsity point of view, and he will open up his own practice from a chiropractic point of view, but he will still continue with karate and open up a dojo. And through that, the karate will fund his studies, or will fund his travels, or will fund his future career in karate, and at the same time, he'll have a business. So I do believe that the two can marry each other. So, but from a sport point of view, that is where it kills for everyone. If you push from a sport, it will kill the enthusiasm. So that I had to be very careful with. And then, of course, you have to have someone in the family that doesn't do karate. Otherwise, we will all go crazy. And that I can say thanks to Angelique.
But the camps, you've got the tournaments that you host.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Look, at the end of the day, you want to motivate students. I mean, karate is very boring. Let's be honest. You do 100 punches every day. You start as a young 4-year-old, and you punch, you kick, and you do patterns, and you do sequences. It's like doing aerobics every day of your life. So you're going to lose the market out there. You got to bring your level down to a 5-year-old, a 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10-year-olds. Okay. So by doing that, there's no better way as an incentive. And the best incentive is going through your levels in belt. You start as a white and you work your way to black belt. Now, karate can be that only unique sport that can boast an average child to get their black belt has been doing karate for 8 years. That alone is phenomenal. Most kids do soccer and they quit after a month. Cricket and they quit after a year. Rugby and they quit after a year. But karate has a knack of kids hanging in there, your brother included, till 8 years, get their junior black, another couple of years, get their second dan, etc., and so forth. So that is one incentive that we try and encourage and motivate. We have to bring in tournaments because kids are very competitive today. Everyone wants to win a medal. Okay, so we bring tournaments for development, and we bring elites, we do provincials, then we do nationals, and then we do internationals. But for your local club and community, you add in extra training camps, a children camp. So you make it fun for them. It's not only karate training, you're also helping them with life skills. Have good attitudes towards each other, to respect each other. And you try and instill that as a leader. And as a leader, you are an instructor, you're a sensei. So you are responsible for a huge community. True. So if you don't get your philosophical things up to scratch and the ethics of karate, it has a ripple effect right down to your student. So I do all these little extras so that an average kid can last at least to their black belt, to their junior black belt. So my wish for every children that starts karate and adults is to get their black belt, because to get your black belt shows character, shows perseverance, shows motivation. shows dedication, and that has a massive impact to your CV. So when you go for a job interview and they always ask, what is your hobby? You say you do karate and you got your black belt. Straight away, the interviewer will have a different impression about you. Say,
100%.
wow, this guy's committed. This guy's dedicated. This guy can take instructions. Maybe it's someone we need. So I believe karate has a massive influence and a platform for anything in your future. And that's why we introduce all these little extra stuff. And we're getting guests from Japan to come to South Africa. Then I add Kubura and I throw that in. And we do a bit of nunchucks and we do a bit of this and that and what have you. You know?
And what is Kubura? Because I know someone's going to be watching and say, okay, what is Kubura?
Kubura is weapons. So basically, karate, the word karate means empty hands.
Yes.
Kubura, the word Kubura means weapons training. So I'm a fourth dan in Kubura. I got my Kubura grading in Japan, Okinawa. And we are masters in nunchucks, sais, bows, tonfa, the teko. These are all little extra weapons that we have and we train with for self-defense. So it's not as big as karate, but it's another entity that I do also offer.
100%. Okay. And then now that you are the president of Gauteng Karate, how is that? How is that transition? I know you said it's a bit tough.
Yeah.
But you're getting it. But
yeah.
How has that been?
It's very tough because it's a huge responsibility. I mean, I've been administrating since 2002. So I took over a district called Ekurhuleni. At that stage, it was called Eastern Transvaal or Eastern Gauteng, now Ekurhuleni. And I managed that province for 14 years. And I built it up,
and you did so well.
I did extremely well. You got your district colors through Ekurhuleni. And that reputation followed me through to another district that was in trouble. It was under administration, and that was the Johannesburg Karate Federation, that is Johannesburg. So they asked me to go and administrate that, and I took over that, and I was there for about 5 or 6 years, and that also landed up doing very well.
100%.
Then Gauteng landed up into a problem, also went under administration with the federation, and they needed a leader, because the current leader had resigned. So for almost a year, they were doing all the administration side for Gauteng without a leader. And they looked at me, being in Gauteng, having the track record I have. They thought I would be the best candidate. So we went through the election and I won unanimously. That I was elected in November last year, if I'm not mistaken, 2023, as the new president for Gauteng Karate Federation. So it's a bigger area that I have to be responsible. I have to be responsible of Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg District, West Rand, and Sedibeng. And it's been a challenge, but I'm surviving. You know, I've only been into it for about 9 months of the year. And now we're going through another election phase where it's Karate South Africa time for their election. And then after that, we will see what happens till the end of the year. So touch wood, so far so good. I've survived. I haven't thrown in the towel yet. So talk about challenges. This is one of my big challenges that I refuse to give up. And if I do step down in the future, I want to step down for an organization that is in a better space, so that whoever takes over can take over wherever it's been built
100%.
correctly. So that's where we are right now with the political side of things.
No, I know you're going to do well. I mean,
I'm hoping to do well.
Always give it your all in everything that you do.
You can only try your best.
I know you're going to do really well.
Thanks.
And then now we've touched the low times, we've touched your health, family, your greatest achievements, and also where you are currently. How do you want to be remembered when it's all said and done?
That's a good question. I don't know. In other words, you're saying, what legacy do I want to leave behind?
Yes.
I don't know, because it's very hard. I mean, Sensei Arnold, you know, my instructor has been around there. He's leaving a legacy that I can't even touch. Other forefathers in the country, I mean, we just mentioned early on Edward and Charlie Sensei. He's leaving a legacy that I can't even fit. There's Norman Robinson. There's, to mention a few, that's been around, that's sitting at the age of 85, that's still teaching to these days. So in South Africa, we have so many good instructors that are still living and still teaching. Even in our own organization, you know, as I said to you, I am a Goju-Ryu instructor, and we are part of an organization that I'm one of the founding members, which is Ismaa. It's International Shirei Martial Arts Academy. And there alone, we've got a senior member, Sensei Tony De Beer, who just turned 80 a week or 2 weeks ago. I mean, he's leaving a legacy that I can't even fit in. So I can't tell you what legacy I want to leave behind. All I know is I want to keep on teaching and make sure that my students enjoy what they're doing. What I would like out of this whole era is that they go out there and they teach with the same kind of passion, enthusiasm, and ethics that I hope that I've given to them. You know, so I would love to see Four Ways as a much bigger entity of where I've started in this area. And it doesn't have to be in this area, it can be throughout the country.
So and I think it's already started because a lot of your students are already branching
They are branching,
so
yes.
Your legacy has already started.
Yeah, but I can't tell you what, what I want them to remember me.
Yes,
I want to be Olympic champion, which is impossible now. I mean, I'm past that shelf life, I wanted to be a world WKF champion, which I just couldn't get there. So there's a lot of things I want to achieve, but I know reality because of age, I'll never. So hopefully through my students, one of them will achieve that. So, I also want to be someone known to have produced one of the best karatekas in the country as far as Goju-Ryu is concerned and sports karate is concerned and standard, So there's a lot of things I want my dojo to be the best at, but I don't know what they will remember me as. For that, I'll have to wait until years come by. First, the old masters, the old guys that have, Sensei Arnold's been doing karate over 50 years, to say the least. So all credit must go to him because I am where I am today because of him, And he's never, I've been loyal to him since the age of 12, I think it was. So I've never, ever had any urge to leave karate or try other styles of karate. I always say, I was born Goju and I'll die Goju, And then, so we'll see. Once those guys leave us one of these days, then we'll see where my life ends.
Okay, that's actually a solid answer.
Is
and
it?
Then I want to know, Sensei, before I actually let you go, I didn't ask you the golden one, Kata and Kumite.
Interesting one. Yes. I love them both. I always thought I was a fighter. Because everything in my life I had to fight for. Nothing you get on a silver plate. So I love that. But unfortunately, I grew up in an era where there was a lot of sanctions. We weren't allowed to compete internationally. Then when the doors opened in 94 and South Africa was eventually accepted karate in the world of international, I was 24 years old. It's a late to start fighting there. But I still fought and I did relatively well and I fought a couple of internationals. But I did see an opportunity in Kata.
Yes.
And I was actually a better fighter than what I was a Kata. But the Kata, the only thing that kept me going was the fact that you could go late into your age. And I must be honest, Kata is hard work. In a funny way, I think it's much harder than fighting, although we can argue this scenario. But Kata, I fell in love with it because I started to work with it. And the more I started to work, the more I thought, my word, this is something I can do.
Yes.
And I became more successful in Kata. So I'm known in the country as a Kata guy. However, I think my coaching ability in Kumite is just as good as my competitiveness in Kata. It is two separate entities. You cannot be brilliant at both, especially the modern day of competition. So you have to eventually choose either you follow the path of Kumite or you follow the path of Kata.
100%.
But I think Kata is difficult because it's a dark place. You don't have a coach with you and you don't have a partner with you on a day-to-day. You have to come into this cold weather early in the mornings before work or after work, Monday to Sunday, January to December. There's never a season. You have to go right through the year and you have to keep on working and practicing your katas, whether it's doing sequences or whether it's doing plyometrics or whether it's working at the gym, but everything revolves against kata. Where fighting, on the other hand, you have a partner that pushes you. You can go to training camps that have other people that are fighting. So you've always got someone to fight with and you've always got someone with you. With kata, it's actually on your own. So it's two different categories and two different attitudes, the way you approach it. But me as an instructor, and I was also a national coach for about 2 years, I do know how to coach Kumite. And funny enough, I've produced quite a lot of good fighting athletes of late, but majority of my success comes through the kata side.
And I remember with Alessandro, when he came up with Kumite, everyone was shocked. And that's when, we had to switch on and say, hey man, there's actually, you can do both.
Yeah, you can do both. I always say, to be a good kata guy, you can be a good fighter. But to be a good fighter, you can't be a good kata. 100%. Kata is very basic. If your basics is good, then your fighting is good. So Alessandro has never been coached by anyone. Up until he started to make his name in the fighting side of it, he's only done kata, and he's only done fighting through my teaching. But because his kata was so good and his basic was so good, his fighting was just so much natural. Now, sadly to say, he's 19 years old, and he will have to decide. Either he does kata permanently and full-time, or kata or kumite.
Yes.
He can't do both. But he is doing well in both. Right now, he's number one in kata and kumite. But let's see, he loves kata, but he's very tall.
Yeah,
you know, but he's got a better build for kumite. So you also look at the size of the person, and it's generally known shorter, stockier person better at kata, longer legs, taller person better at kumite. But you know what? You follow your passion. You know, maybe there's history to be made. Maybe you could be a world champion on both, and it's never been done.
Yes.
So who knows? You know, no one is stopping you to try and do great on both. 100%. But I love both. You know, and I do believe that sports karate does help traditional karate and vice versa. So I teach both. Some dojos are just sports specific, and some are just traditional and don't want to do anything with sports karate. So it depends on the instructor.
And then with bunkai, because I know I learned of bunkai through you, and all the other unison teams that I've seen are through you actually. Why is it so important to you to always just, I mean, it's beautiful. I would watch that the whole day. Why is it so important to you? Why is a bunkai so important in general?
Yeah, bunkai is self-defense. I mean, you know, you do. You know, I check the standard of an individual through their kata. It's literally the backbone of karate. We practice kata in such a vigorous and intense day-to-day way that it becomes second nature. So if you are confronted in the street, you will apply it. It'll instinctively, you'll know what to do. You won't have to think about it. It's so embedded in your muscle. So bunkai is the basics of self-defense. Bunkai literally means in English application. You take a move out of any of your katas, whether it's a block and it's a punch, or you know it's a sweep. You're applied into a day-to-day situation. And you know, self-defense is for like yourself. You know, if someone's going to attack you from behind, you take it straight out of your kata. So although the sports side have made bunkai theatric, because it is impressive to see a kata and see what it means. And it just makes your understanding better, so that when you're applied in a real life situation, you will know what to do. So we practice our kata, we practice the understanding, and we actually use someone and we simulate situations coming straight out of the kata. So bunkai is very important. The world realizes it, and that's why they've introduced it into the sports side of it. Yes, it can get a bit theatric. You don't do somersaults in the air. But traditionally, you do bunkai that works practically in any day-to-day situation. Okay, so it is important. So you know, karate, as I said to you earlier on, can be boring. So we make it interesting. So we do a punch and a kick, and we do a funny move like this, and then we do it on a person, and we say, right, now what does that mean? Because remember, a long time ago, a century ago, when Shoji Miyagi introduced Goju-Ryu to mainland Japan and Okinawa, they were disguising movements because they were practicing for times of war.
Yes.
So when they were occupied in Okinawa, they were doing things in the background that the Japanese would look at it and see, okay, it's a dance. They're just dancing. Meantime, they were practicing for war. So they were hiding a lot of the movements. That's why you get movements like this that means nothing to the naked eye. But if you go into the hidden side of it, it's an application for self-defense. 100%. Okay, so our karate has been around for 100 years. And those days, they were disguising in preparation for war. Now we don't have to disguise. We can actually take it, use it, and hopefully works in the streets with no guarantees. Remember, you can't stop a bullet, and it's very hard to fight and defend against a knife. But you'll have a 5% chance than the average person that's never done any martial arts in their lives before.
100%, yeah. And then now that you know, you've produced so many athletes, I want to know, in this year, who are some of your athletes that are on the rise that we need to look out for?
Well, between last year to this year, you know, I must give credit to Jordan Ruetz. You know, he's one of my athletes that last year's done incredibly well, and nothing really went his way, but there's a good example of perseverance. You know, for 2 years in a row, he just couldn't come right. And then he got selected for the first time. He got his Protea colors. He won the nationals for the first time. He got his black belt. Wow. So the whole universe was just in line with him. So At the end of our awards evening, we have an awards. He got the overall best student award because of his perseverance and all the achievements. That was all in 1 year. This year, we've got some up and coming athletes that, again, like I say, we're going to go to the Region South. We've got Georgia van der Schyf, who's doing quite well. Georgia Knight, another Georgia, getting their Protea colors. Liam is another one that might be getting a Sarah. And then in our own family, I must also mention my sister, Sensei Roberta.
Yes.
She has also done incredibly well. Between her and I, we run the dojo together. So I do one half of the dojo. She does the other half where she can get to. She's also worked her way up. And I must give credit. She's the chief referee for Gauteng Karate Federation for the past 3 or 4 years. She's one of the highest qualified lady, not male, lady, because karate in sport lacks more women in sport.
Sure.
And she's definitely filled that area, and she's one of the most highest ranked lady in refereeing. Okay, she's a UFAC qualified international referee as well as a Region South. So she's done well. Even her daughter's done well, Milena.
She's finally in karate.
Yeah, she's finally in karate. So last year she got selected to do the Region South in Zimbabwe. And she won the Region South Championship doing Kata. And she's currently ranked, I think, between number 3 or 4 in South Africa. So she's up and coming. So she's done very well. So that's been a very nice career to see that I'm quite proud of. So we've actually kept the karate in the family. So, it's at the end of the day, sometimes I've got to step back and realize that it's the support around me that's made me where I am today. And I have to also give credit to my sister, because a couple of years ago, we had the opportunity at Fourways Garden. I couldn't get there. I said, there's a dojo. And then from there, it's escalated. She now does St. Stithians, Fourways Garden, Pinnacle College, to mention a few. And she's also decided back then to go full-time into karate, and, we do a lot of things together. So we've kept it in the family. And then this year, it's grown from strength to strength. We've picked up nicely since COVID. We lost a lot of students, and it was quite a sad period for me personally. I had to lift myself. I couldn't show my students that I was also feeling a bit depressed with the COVID and all that. But since after COVID, I can say we're almost back to where we were now, if not better. But times are still going to get challenging because the economy, and all this has really had a massive effect. I mean, we can't get to the communities. There's a lot of things that, the disadvantaged areas that don't have the privilege. So, there's a lot of things that I got to fix, and hopefully being chairman of Gauteng, I can have that ammunition, but, baby steps.
Yeah.
So, I think going back to your question, that's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing my sister move up the ranks, taking a much more responsible position in the world of karate, because she's going now to get her last qualification at Region South, and the next step from here is the Africa Cup, and the next step after that is the world. So without her knowing, that is my plan for her. I've got to convince her, though, to take it further to the international world, and then she could be the first woman in South Africa to have achieved what potentially she can achieve.
No, she's doing so well.
So let me not forget about her. Yeah.
All of you are doing so well, and it's so heartwarming to come back, because this is my home.
Yes.
To come back home and to hear all of this and to see all of this. So I'm really proud of you, Sensei. I'm proud of Roberta. I'm proud of the boys, Silvio, Alessandra as well, Milena as well.
Yeah.
And of course the whole Fourways Academy. Yeah. I think I wouldn't be Angela without the academy. I don't think my cousin as well, Brandon, would be, Sensei Brandon now without the academy.
Angela, if I can say one thing here, I've always said, out of all my students, you had the most talent for karate. I've still got you on my picture there with your Protea blazer, and I still believe you're never too old. If I started late, you can start. When you settle down and you've got your direction, then you come back here.
Definitely.
And from traditional karate or whatever forte you want to take, but from a sport point of view, everyone, including myself, wow, you would have been the first best athlete that South Africa would have produced, and you were just there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, life. And we need to understand that as instructors. I mean, I'm a professional. Not everyone here is a professional. Sometimes I've got to just come back to life and say, listen, they're just here for the social of it. I expect the most out of them. I expect them to give up their school life just to go to karate. But I've got to be reasonable that, they're here because they're just here, they enjoy it. So, my wish for you is just to come back.
Definitely.
Just to come back and just do that normal twice a week karate, and then who knows what happens from there.
I was actually joking about officially resigning from karate, and it was an uproar at home. So that it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad, and I was quite surprised that you were saying that you actually want to open up a dojo. So okay, so the spark is still there. You just gotta get around life. Life is what happens, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay, but I can see you're gonna get there. I can see.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure.
For everything, Sensei, that you've done. I still look up to you. We all look up to you. You're doing so well.
Thank you, Angela.
Super duper proud of you. And just keep going.
I will.
We're all gonna follow in that route that you've paved for us.
Thanks for making time for me and your perseverance. I know it's not hard to try and get all of us together. We all have such busy lives, but sometimes we need to take a step back. But thank you, Angela, and I wish you all the best, and I'm sure it won't be the last.
No, it won't be the last.
Okay.
Thank you, and all the best to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thanks, Angela.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and share. Until next time, me and the entire OTR team are out.